So I'm going to be taking some questions from you. I have one person here. Ladies first.
You spoke about some of the challenges are with the faith leaders, specifically the imams, the ministers, as far as promoting peace, because they may lose power in the process. However, in Nigeria, I've been to Nigeria, people are very religious, specifically in Nigeria. How do we get to peace when you have religious leaders having so much power and they may not want to give the power? How do you suggest we move towards peace through them?
It is not as if the religious leaders themselves are that powerful. It is the political leaders that manipulate religion. The religious leaders, most of the times, even appear from the background, even though they have their problems. If you look at the Muslim leaders, most of the times, and sincerely, I don't think they are in the forefront of creating problems. It is the political class. Like Buhari once said that no Muslim should vote a Christian in Nigeria. He said so. So it is the political class that manipulates religion, mostly. And that is why I made reference to the manipulation thesis written by Bala Usman, the radical historian of ABU's area, who insisted that the northern oligarchy were only using religion, Islam, to deceive the talakawas, that is the subalterns or the downtrodden. But most of the times, as soon as they use this religion to get to the office of authority, they abandon the talakawas and begin to face the business of marginalization, naturally. So the religious leaders themselves are unfortunately helpless in the situation.
Right. Professor Bangura, you were the first to raise your hand. So.
I wanted to make sure.
Okay, here you go. Straight the mirror.
Okay. Chris Orngu, my long time brother and colleague and best friend. You've answered one part of the puzzle I was going to ask. That it's not really religion. It ends up to be political. But one thing I'm lost is the level of analysis. Okay. When you say that until this religious division is reconciled, then Nigeria will not move forward, it got me to scratch my head in that the Yorubas will never kill anyone for religion. They enjoy, and if you go to Ibadan, Christians and Muslims celebrate all the festivities, all the holidays. You know, they eat each other's food. The Muslims get their new clothes, their new shoes on Christmas. The Christians are eating all the good Muslim food during the month of Ramadan. There's no problem. And we also, when we talk about the problem between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria, I always have to correct many of my American audiences. It's really limited to a particular region. Nigeria is a huge country, the hugest on the motherland. The overwhelming majority of Nigeria don't have the religious schisms and violence that we see highlighted on our Western televisions and radio shows. It's a very relatively small portion of the entire big country where you don't have any problem. And fortunately, one of our board's members in the editorial team of the Journal of ICERM, Dr. Ugorji, she has a peace institute. She's Christian, and Igbo, but she has a peace institute in the north, where she promotes peaceful relationships and all that. And there are many other organizations that work there. So you historians help us. We political scientists have no problem. We can delineate the levels of analysis and say at so and so level this is what is happening. But I'm a little bit worried that now you're moving where these pockets of things are happening to the national level. You must have a good reason why you're doing that.
Yeah. So let's hear that good reason.
Yeah, the reason is that you have even said it. A very little class that class belongs to the inner court of decision making. The refusal to hand over power to Abiola was masterminded by that clique. The emergence of Olusegun Obasanjo as president of Nigeria in 1999 was also by that group. It will surprise you that in Nigeria we talk about zoning, but the northern oligarchy, particularly the Muslims, never talk about zoning. Remember that Umaru Yar'Adua was from Katsina State, the late president of Nigeria, and the current president is from the same Katsina State. And so if Muslims are able to have their way, there is no problem in Nigeria. But when Obasanjo became president as a Christian, that was when the Sharia law was introduced. Theocracy, among how many people? And if you generate conflict in the northern part of the country, you are definitely going to get reprisal somewhere in the south. The OPC experience, for instance, what happened in the north? The Arewa People's Congress came up. And so it takes that power of manipulation to be able to generate conflict, in as much as the majority of Nigerians are not given to this religious, fundamentalism. The very few that are manipulated will always create a kind of, an explosive and expansive influence that we. If you talk about the levels of analysis, sometimes it is the disposition of one person that projects the character of the majority of the people. And so if these Muslims are few and they are not spread, across the country, but they have the power to manipulate their few and dimension the nature of existence in the country, I think it is also very, very important for us to understand. I agree with you absolutely that the population may not be as much as that, but the truth of the matter is that the power of manipulation is what is most fundamental here. As long as they continue to manipulate, they will continue to dimension the nature and character of peaceful existence in that country.
Chris, thank you. I guess they also manipulate ethnicity here with the agitation for the cessation of the effort taking place right now in the southeastern part of Nigeria. By the way, it seems your presentation is generating a lot of response. We have more questions, but we're going to be taking only 3. Oh my goodness. So, okay, I think we do not have time. We have only 4 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess that should be it.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Could you speak of anything that you may have come in contact with in the form of a women's movement or a movement by mothers to bring people together from different religious affiliations? So for example, within the places where circumstances are harmonious, so if there's a common tribe, if it's an Igbo tribe that has people who are both Christian and Muslim, are there examples within communities, within villages, a female-led movement, for example, of bringing people together across the religious lines, not so much from the top down, but from the bottom up?
So Chris, I would suggest you write down that question and you will get the time to answer all of them at the same time.
Thank you. Dr. Chris, I was hoping you could speak to 2 things. What we've seen in across the continent, you have Al-Shabaab, the youth. So how does age and generation play into Boko Haram and et cetera? That's the first question. The second, this is Buhari's second time, right? So now, what happened during the first administration? Did we see the same types of conflict, if you will? And if not, why not? Thank you.
So right, the question, the floor.
I would like to thank the presenter. My concern is, we would like to learn from history. Whenever we have conflicts in the African continent, will fight back to the colonial era. I'm not mentioning that before the coming of colonial masters, that pre-colonial era, countries in Africa had kings that were even more harsh to their communities than the coming of the colonial masters. So what about the other side that is not spoken about? What can we learn from it such that we create our forward? The second question is that apart from the Boko Haram, where the Boko Haram terminology is a misleading terminology, is not in an Islamic setting. It is more of a political requirement for the Abubakar Sharkawi, his own thinking, but it does not represent the Islamic teachings. However, more so of such terminologies are coming in, like Akim in Mali, that is Al-Qaeda mission in Mali, like the Al-Shabaab in the South Africa and the Great Lakes region at large, and so many others. What can we do to have such groups coming in under the umbrella of religion? Stopping. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last question, I hope this is going to get to you, otherwise you could come forward a little bit. So the
Thank you for brilliant presentation. I have two questions. One has already been asked by a colleague about women's movement. Are there any women's movements which try to create bridges and bridges for the creation of peace? Second question, and correct me please if I'm wrong, I've heard you say that Muslims like Boko Haram. And I don't think that Boko Haram belongs to Islam. They have nothing to do with Islam as I understand it, and as many other people understand it. Thank you.
got a lot of questions, Chris, but I think I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer all the questions.
I will. Sorry, Boko Haram is a terrorist movement, but Boko and Haram simply means book is, in fact, it is an ideological radicalism that is against Western culture. But those who profess it essentially belong to the Muslims, to the Islam, sincerely, from the northern part of the country. So they may not be directly linked to that, but, and of course that again goes to explain, the other question which still talks about Boko Haram. Boko Haram itself is ideological, and this ideological connection can be linked to cultural, orientation as well. Conflicts in post-colonial era, yes, we had them, but unfortunately, they did not assume the nature of destructive capability that we have today. They were managed within the limits of their existence, and of course, we have gone beyond the era of conquest and annexation. So we are complaining now because we expect that we should be able to move towards a more peaceful society, more refined, especially when we begin to talk about the principle of non-intervention at the level of international relations and all of that. I still want to say that Boko Haram terrorism has become a global thing, and it assumes different dimensions in different parts of the globe. Yeah, women actually have been playing very significant roles in trying to bring about harmony. Of course, you know that even the Boko Haram attack affected the girl child very seriously in Nigeria, and the mothers came out in their large numbers to compel the federal government to do something, bring back our girls, bring back our girls. These were very, very well organized and articulated platforms that attempted to check the excesses of some of this. I really thank you for your contributions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And other answers you may have, you can put them down in your paper. We're going to publish them and, spread them across the globe. Thank you.